Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
Take a shoot.
You want me to fucking strip?
No, I don't want that. I don't want that.
Here, there you go. Fucking ass.
Stephanie, put your clothes back on.
For what?
Stephanie,
You wanted to know?
Stop. Okay, look, listen
You
to me.
guys got it!
Relax, Stephanie. We're gonna put Stop. Look, we're gonna have to put handcuffs if you don't stop. You got cuffs her up first.
Sometimes police officers don't respond to crimes. They respond to emotions that have completely spiraled out of control.
What's going on?
Where's my boyfriend?
Okay. I don't know where he is. Stop.
In this body cam footage, a young woman discovers her boyfriend has been cheating on her. Alcohol's involved, emotions are already high, and what should have been a private argument turns into a public meltdown that police are forced to manage.
Stop.
This isn't a violent crime, but situations like this can become dangerous in seconds.
Hold on for a second, okay?
I need my boyfriend, kid.
Stop.
Background and context, officers respond to a reported disturbance in the area.
Stop. What's going on?
Where's my boyfriend?
Okay. I don't know where he is. Why are you running away? What's your name? What's your name?
He's with the girl.
I know. Listen. Shh.
He's with the girl.
According to the call, there was loud screaming, arguing, and signs of possible intoxication. When police arrive, the scene is already chaotic. The woman is emotional, unstable.
What was the failure to appear for?
My
Take it.
boyfriend's with the...
Listen to me. I dealt you before. I just can't remember your name. What's your name?
Stephanie.
Judice? What's your last name?
Star. He's with
And visibly impaired by alcohol.
another girl.
All right, Stephanie, listen to me. Stephanie Star.
Oh, fuck!
Stop. Stephanie, we're gonna have to put handcuffs on you if you don't stop, okay?
You're gonna anyway.
No, we're not. Relax, all right?
I have a warrant, dumbass!
Okay, we'll figure it out, Stephanie. Just hold on for a second, okay?
I need my boyfriend, kid.
Her reactions are loud, unpredictable, and driven almost entirely by one thing: betrayal. Her boyfriend stands nearby, mostly quiet and withdrawn. He avoids eye contact and lets the woman speak, or scream, for both of them. At this point, officers aren't there to decide who's right or wrong. Their job is to slow the situation down, separate emotions, and prevent it from turning physical.
We're just gonna detain you.
I want my boyfriend.
We're just gonna detain you for a second, okay?
He's gone with the girl.
Look, we were just with him. We were just with him. No, you're not.
Where
we were
is
just
he?
with him.
I have a car.
Stephanie, listen to me. Stop. Okay? Take a deep breath for a second, okay? I dealt with you many times.
The meltdown escalates. As officers begin asking basic questions, names, what happened, whether anyone is hurt, the woman's emotions boil over.
Hey, what's your name?
Stephanie.
Stop.
He's with another.
She raises her voice, repeats the same accusations, and struggles to focus on what officers are asking her.
Hey, come here. Listen to me. We're gonna figure it out, okay? We're gonna figure it out. Come here. Stephanie Star.
He's with another girl.
Okay, look.
From the body cam perspective, this doesn't look staged or exaggerated for attention. It looks like someone experiencing humiliation, anger, and emotional shock, all while intoxicated. Alcohol strips away emotional control. Every thought becomes louder, every feeling becomes extreme. Despite the screaming, officers stay calm.
I'm not trying to give you a hard time.
It's not a good time.
It's okay.
My parents.
I know, Stephanie. Just take a deep breath for a second, okay?
Take a deep breath. My hair?
They speak slowly. They repeat themselves. They don't challenge her emotions, because doing that would only push the situation further out of control. Officers' response and de-escalation. One officer attempts to physically separate the couple, creating distance to reduce tension. Another officer focuses on verbal de-escalation, short sentences, clear instructions, and a calm tone.
I'll move your hair out of your face, okay? Is that okay? Can I touch your face?
Yeah.
Okay.
Please.
Take a deep breath and calm down.
Where is he?
So
Why is he with another girl?
Listen to me. Listen to me. I'll explain to you. All right, we're gonna walk to the front, so we're not in the back over here, okay?
Is he here?
Well, we just made him leave.
This isn't about punishment, it's about safety. An intoxicated person who's emotionally overwhelmed can fall, lash out, or hurt themselves without realizing it. The officers repeatedly ask her to breathe, lower her voice, and stay in one place.
Stop, okay? Take a deep breath for a second, okay? I've dealt with you many times.
These aren't power moves. They're grounding techniques meant to pull someone back from emotional overload. Emotional crash. Eventually, the emotional energy runs out, the screaming fades, the anger softens.
Where is he now?
We made him leave.
No! Get him back.
Stephanie, come here. Stephanie, that's not him. Stop, all right?
What's left is exhaustion. Her voice breaks, her posture changes, the adrenaline that fueled the meltdown begins to wear off.
Get in the car, you come with us.
Where's my boyfriend?
I don't know now, all right? Now you want to be uncooperative with me? Now I have no idea where he is.
I'm so sorry.
You're getting in the car. We're not playing this game. Get in the car.
Yeah.
Get in the car.
Really?
You're under arrest.
Take a seat. You're under arrest.
Yeah, because you have a warrant out of the county. Let's go. Get in the car.
Take
I
a
don't
seat.
have anyone.
Yeah,
Yeah, we just actually
Keep driving,
confirmed.
you're gonna get another charge.
Come on, get in the car.
This is the part most people never see online. The emotional crash that comes after losing control in public. There's no relief here, no victory, just embarrassment, regret, and the realization that this moment is now recorded forever. Why incidents like this matter? This body cam footage highlights an often overlooked reality of police work. Not every call involves violence. Not every situation involves crime. Sometimes officers are the last barrier between emotional chaos and serious consequences.
Find my boyfriend.
I'll find it for you, sure.
Ow!
Sit down.
I
Sit down.
hurt.
Go to the other side and grab the seatbelt for me. Stephanie, sit back, okay?
I
Sit back.
can't.
I'm gonna put the
It
seatbelt on you.
hurts.
Sit back.
It hurts!
A drunken argument over cheating may sound minor, but mix alcohol, public space, and intense emotions, and the risk multiplies.
You cunt!
Hey,
Okay.
Yeah.
Stephanie, stop. Stop.
I will literally.
Stephanie,
Next time I see you, it's on sight.
No, it's not.
It's
No, it's not.
on
No, it's
site.
not.
Now you're.
What ended here as a loud argument could have easily turned into injuries, arrests, or worse.
If you keep it up, you're gonna get.
I don't want to go arrested.
It doesn't matter.
Turn around, Stephanie. Turn around.
You're
Stephanie, stop resisting.
arresting me anyway. I don't give a shit.
All right, well, you want another charge?
No shit, Sherlock, don't I?
Final thoughts. Betrayal hurts, alcohol removes filters, and public breakdowns leave permanent digital footprints. This body cam footage is a reminder that emotional control matters, especially when law enforcement becomes involved. Because once the cameras are rolling, everyone sees what you couldn't control in the moment.
Caroline's murder in May shocked Greece. Her husband describing a violent gang who he said had tied up the parents, threatened their baby child, and then killed his wife.
Imagine waking up to find a husband mourning his wife, only to later learn he was the one who took her life. This is the story of Caroline Crouch, a young mother whose murder shocked Greece and the world, not just because of the brutality of the crime, but because of the elaborate lies that followed. The night that changed everything. It was the early hours of May 11th, 2021, inside a quiet suburban home in Glyka Nera, Athens. Carolyn, just 20 years old, lived there with her husband, Babis Anagnostopoulos, a 33-year-old helicopter pilot, and their 11-month-old baby girl. Around 6 a.m., Babis made a frantic call to police, claiming their home had been invaded by armed robbers.
Τι ζητάτε? Να μην γίνει σε κανέναν άλλον ποτέ ξανά. Τίποτα άλλο. Τα παιδιά ξέρουν τη δουλειά τους, θα τους πιάσουν και αυτό που πέρασα εγώ και η οικογένειά μου και η οικογένεια της γυναίκας μου να μην το περάσει ξανά κανείς ποτέ. Τους παρακαλέσαμε, τους είπαμε ότι έχουμε πού θα βρουν τα χρήματα.
When officers arrived, they were met with a chilling scene. Caroline was found dead upstairs, suffocated in the attic bedroom. Babis was tied up near the living room, seemingly injured and traumatized. And outside the house, the family's dog had been found hanged.
Μας έδεσαν και από εκείνο το σημείο και μετά δεν τους είχαμε πει ήδη που είναι τα χρήματα.
The story instantly became national news. A horrifying home invasion, a mother killed while protecting her baby, and a grieving husband who appeared shattered by the loss.
This is Babis Ananiastopoulos, comforting his mother-in-law this week. Her daughter, his wife, murdered just a few weeks before.
But as investigators dug deeper, something about Babis's story didn't add up, and soon the entire robbery narrative would begin to crumble. The robbery story starts falling apart. Police initially treated the case as a violent burglary, but inconsistencies started to appear almost immediately. There was no sign of forced entry on any door or window, raising questions about how the supposed intruders even entered the home. The ropes used to tie Babis were suspiciously loose, as if tied by someone inexperienced or someone tying themselves. Then came the biggest breakthrough: Caroline's smartwatch data. Investigators discovered her heart rate spiked and then stopped hours before Babis claimed the robbers entered the home.
It's claimed that data from wearable fitness trackers showed that Caroline died hours earlier than her husband said.
This completely shattered his timeline. Security camera footage also showed key files deleted manually at a time when Babis claimed he was unconscious.
Then, a few days later, footage was released. Footage of a suspicious car and motorbike driving away from the scene. This was around the time Babis said they would have fled the home after killing Caroline and the dog. And a neighbour said that that bike had been in the area days before, circling the block, scoping out the place, covert-like.
Slowly, investigators realized that the entire home invasion story was a lie, and the man who portrayed himself as a grieving husband was actually the prime suspect. The turning point, his lies, collapse. On June 17th, 2021, a month after the murder, Babis was attending Caroline's memorial service on the island of Alonissos.
It was over a month after the murder, while Babis and Caroline's family were at a memorial for young Caroline.
In a moment that stunned the small community, police quietly approached him during the ceremony and asked him to return to Athens to clarify new information.
He asked what's going on, and his reaction is kind of strange and awkward. He told them that the memorial isn't over and asked the officers to let him attend the memorial until the end. They refused to let him and told him for his own good to hide his cell phone and not call anyone, and that they have to leave immediately.
What followed was an 8-hour interrogation where officers presented every inconsistency.
But police now say that the story about a gang was all a lie.
The smartwatch data, the deleted camera footage, the false timeline.
Her memorial service was held on Thursday. And that is when Ananiastopoulos was detained by police and told that they had fresh evidence against him.
Cornered by evidence, Babis finally confessed. He admitted there were no robbers, no intruders, no violent burglary. Instead, he revealed that during a heated argument in the early morning hours, he suffocated Caroline with his own hands. Their baby was in the room as it happened. And in the hours afterward, he staged an entire crime scene, killed the family dog to make the robbery look real, tied himself up, scattered items to suggest a struggle, and called police pretending to be helpless and devastated.
The examination of some evidence, and especially the digital evidence that we'd confiscated from the site, gave us some clues, especially the evidence that showed movement of objects, in particular the husband's phone, during the same time he had testified that he was tied up.
For 37 days, he lied to the country, to reporters, to investigators, and even hugged Caroline's grieving mother while knowing he was the one who killed her daughter. Caroline's diary reveals her silent pain. After his confession, investigators discovered Caroline's personal diary, a heartbreaking collection of handwritten entries that exposed the emotional torment she had been suffering. She wrote about wanting to leave the marriage, feeling trapped, and fearing Babis's controlling behavior.
31st of December 2019. I argued with Babis again, this time a lot. I hit him, I cursed him, and he broke the door. The only thing I wanted was for him to ask if I was well when I woke up. I'm thinking about leaving, going to my sister. I don't know if I can continue with Babis. I love him so much that I can't leave him, even if this relationship is harming me.
Her diary described arguments, manipulation, and attempts to escape the relationship. One of her last entries revealed she had seriously considered separating from him. To prosecutors, these entries proved the marriage was unraveling long before the murder, and they suggested a clear motive. Babis feared losing control over Caroline and possibly custody of their baby. The diary became one of the most powerful pieces of evidence against him. The trial and the verdict. Babis was charged with premeditated murder, animal cruelty for killing the dog, making false statements to police, and staging a fake robbery. His trial began in April 2022 and captivated Greece. Prosecutors argued that this was not a sudden burst of anger, but a calculated act. They said Babis had a history of controlling Caroline and that the murder happened when she attempted to leave with their child. In May 2022, the court agreed. Babis was found guilty of murder and sentenced to life in prison, along with additional years for killing the dog and lying to investigators. He was transferred to one of Greece's highest security prisons, where he remains today. Aftermath. A family left to heal. Caroline's baby daughter was placed in the custody of her maternal grandmother, who vowed to raise her far from the man who destroyed their lives. Caroline's mother stated that one day, when the time is right, the child will learn the truth about what happened to her mother. The case left Greece heartbroken, not only because of the loss of a bright young woman, but because the man responsible pretended to be a victim while deceiving an entire nation. The lies, the manipulation, and the cold staging of the crime scene made the tragedy even more haunting. Conclusion. In a peaceful Athens neighborhood, a family home became the setting for one of Greece's most disturbing crimes.
For weeks, Greece has been shocked by the spectre of a violent, murderous gang. If the police are right, then this horrendous crime instead comes down to the fury of just one man.
A young mother, only 20, was suffocated by her husband, the same man who spent weeks crying on television, begging for justice and misleading investigators. But with the help of technology, persistence, and the truth hidden in Caroline's diary, his lies collapsed. Today, Bobby serves a life sentence while Caroline is remembered as a loving mother whose life was cut far too short. Her story is a reminder that sometimes the monster isn't an intruder, it's someone already inside the home. If you found this story gripping, please like this video, comment your thoughts on this case, and subscribe to Judge Wire for more real crime stories that uncover the truth behind the headlines.
I didn't mean to kill Austin. Ashley, I really didn't. I really think I did that. I didn't mean to hurt him.
We got in, and then I looked to Nate and nodded and shook my head as in yes or no. He nodded, and then I took the first swing.
Basically, the main reason for accepting the offer was to avoid the absolute certainty of life without parole.
Teens' twisted confessions shock court. A toddler's cries silenced by fists. A grandmother slaughtered for pizza money. A child buried in a shallow grave. These aren't horror movie plots. They're the real crimes of teenagers turned monsters. Courtrooms expect remorse. But what happens when young killers weep crocodile tears, smirk, or stay stone cold? Today, we plunge into 3 gut-wrenching cases. Dylan Shoemaker, Antonio Barbeau, and Nathan Pape, and Alyssa Bustamante, where teens faced life sentences for heinous murders, their reactions ranging from fake sobs to chilling indifference. These stories expose the terrifying truth. Evil can wear a young face, and justice struggles to contain it.
I can't take back what was done. I wish I could. I would give my life for Austin. I loved him a lot.
Austin Smith was completely defenseless.
Dylan Shoemaker, March 19, 2013, Springville, New York. Dylan Shoemaker, just 16, was left to babysit his girlfriend Ashley Smith's 23-month-old son, Austin. When Austin's cries wouldn't stop, Shoemaker breached all humanity, unleashing a torrent of violence. He backhanded the toddler's face, slammed his head on the floor during a diaper change, and smothered him with a pillow, punching his tiny head repeatedly. The medical examiner detailed horrific injuries: ruptured blood vessels in Austin's ear, retinal hemorrhages, and subdural bleeding. Austin died, his small body a map of brutality. Education warns that unchecked anger in young caregivers can escalate to deadly abuse. Training and oversight for teen babysitters could prevent such tragedies. In Erie County Court, Shoemaker played the victim, sobbing, "I didn't mean to kill Austin. You really think I did this? I didn't mean to hurt him." He apologized to Ashley, claiming remorse, but a jail call to his mother exposed his manipulation. "I'm a 16-year-old blonde. Probably all I have to do is cry in front of the jury, and they'll feel sorry for me." Laws under New York's second-degree murder statute, Penal Law Section 125.25, mandated 15 years to life for intentional killing, with judges weighing intent and age. Justice M. William Baller saw through the act, labeling Shoemaker a manipulator and deceiver who knew right from wrong. The consequence was 25 years to life. As the sentence landed, Shoemaker's tears flowed, but Ashley's anguished wails echoed louder, her son's life stolen by a teen's rage. The courtroom became a stage for his failed deception, Austin's death a wound that justice couldn't heal. Antonio Barbeau and Nathan Pepe.
We got in, and then I looked to Nate and nodded.
I don't do what Antonio says that he might try something on me.
September 2012, Sheboygan County, Wisconsin. Antonio Barbeau, 14, and Nathan Pepe, 14, hatched a chilling plan to murder Barbeau's 78-year-old great-grandmother Barbara Olson for $155 to buy pizza and weed. They hid a hatchet and hammer in their pants, got a ride to her Sheboygan Falls home, and ambushed her. Barbeau struck first, swinging the hatchet, while Pape bludgeoned her with the hammer. Barbeau later confessed, "I took the first swing. I hit one more time as she was falling." Education reveals that thrill-seeking and greed in troubled teens can fuel senseless violence. Early intervention through counseling could stop such plots. Surveillance footage captured the boys eating pizza hours later, casually buying gloves and wipes as if no life was taken. Tried as adults in Sheboygan County Circuit Court, both entered no contest pleas to first-degree intentional homicide under Wisconsin's Section 940.01. Laws treated their premeditated act as an adult crime, mandating life sentences with parole eligibility after decades. At sentencing, Barbeau struggled. "I don't show my emotions much, but that doesn't mean I don't feel them." His lawyer completed his statement. "I took away someone's mother, grandma, sister, friend." Judy, Olson's granddaughter, found her body in the garage, her 911 call frantic.
Please send an ambulance and the police. My mother is laying in the garage and there's a lot of blood and there's a blanket over her head. There's a lot of blood. How did the towel...
There's a lot of blood. Judge Fred Hazel delivered the consequence. Life with parole at 50 for Barbeau, 45 for Pop. Barbeau sobbed as he was led away. Pape showed no emotion. The courtroom recoiled at their greed. Olson's death a stark reminder that youth can mask monstrous intent. Alyssa Bustamante.
Cut throat. She died.
October 2009, Jefferson City, Missouri. Alyssa Bustamante, 15, lured 9-year-old Elizabeth Olton, a neighbor, to a wooded area under the pretense of playing. Instead, she breached innocence, slitting Olton's throat, stabbing her repeatedly, and burying her in a shallow grave behind her house. A diary entry, revealed under UV light, exposed her chilling mindset. "I became obsessed. I just fucking killed her." Education stresses that untreated mental health issues, like Bustamante's history of depression and self-harm, can spiral into violence. Early therapy could save lives. Elizabeth's parents, frantic after she vanished, filed a missing persons report, only for police to trace her phone to the woods. Tried as an adult in Cole County Circuit Court, Bustamante pleaded guilty to second-degree murder under Missouri's Section 565.021 to avoid the death penalty. Laws allowed adult prosecution due to the crime's brutality, with a plea deal setting a minimum sentence. Her defense cited her troubled background, but the prosecution highlighted her euphoria in killing. Judge Pat Joyce sentenced her to life with parole after 30 years, plus 30 years consecutive, the consequence for her cold calculation. Bustamante stood emotionless as the sentence was read, her diary's words haunting the courtroom. Elizabeth's mother's sobs filled the silence, her daughter's playful spirit extinguished by a teen's dark obsession. 3 teens, 3 courtrooms, 3 life sentences, yet the shadow of their youth darkens justice's weight. Dylan Shoemaker's manipulative tears, Antonio Barbeau and Nathan Pape's pizza-fueled murder, and Alyssa Bustamante's diary of death reveal evil's chilling presence in the young. Courtrooms become arenas where families' grief clashes with killers' facades. Laws draw a hard line, but they can't erase the pain of a stolen child, grandmother, or future. Sentences lock away these teens, but the scars they leave pulse with eternal loss. Want more shocking true crime stories like these? Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to stay locked in for every chilling case. Drop a comment below. Should teens like these ever get parole? Join our community for weekly dives into the darkest trials.
Police telling Dahlia her husband of just 6 months was murdered.
Okay, I'm sorry to tell you, man. He's been killed.
The Dahlia DiPolito case introduction. Imagine marrying the person you believe is your soulmate, and within months, plotting their murder. This is the story of Dahlia DiPolito.
She is Boynton Beach's most unlikely and notorious celebrity.
I didn't do anything.
A young woman from Florida whose picture-perfect marriage turned into one of the most bizarre crime cases ever caught on camera.
I never thought in a million years, honestly, that she'd try to kill me.
It's all still sinking in for Michael DiPolito. The plot, his wife Dahlia hatched to have him murdered.
I'm positive, like 5,000% sure.
A story of deception, obsession, and a murder-for-hire plot so unreal, it played out like a reality show, literally. Background: the perfect couple? Dahlia Muhammad was born on the 18th of October 1982 and grew up in Boynton Beach, Florida. She was beautiful, confident, and loved living a flashy lifestyle. In early 2009, she married Michael DiPolito, a man who was trying to rebuild his life. Michael had a past. He'd served time for securities fraud and was still on probation. But he was also charming, financially stable, and ready to start fresh. To everyone else, Dahlia seemed like the perfect partner for his new beginning. The couple's relationship appeared ideal. They owned a nice townhouse, went out to dinners, and posted happy pictures together. But behind those smiles, cracks were already forming. And within just 6 months, Dahlia would be accused of plotting something unthinkable.
I'm positive, like 5,000% sure.
She was talking about having me killed, like ordering, a bologna sandwich, like, hey, give me one of those with that. Like, it wasn't very, it didn't mean anything to her, and that's the creepy part of it.
Motive: money, control, and lies. According to investigators, Dahlia wanted more control financially and emotionally. Michael's probation and criminal record limited their lifestyle, and she began to feel trapped.
She says Mike failed to mention he was a convicted felon. Years ago, he'd been to prison for fraud after scamming investors out of tens of thousands of dollars.
But instead of leaving, she started planning. She reached out to an ex-boyfriend named Mohammed Shihadeh and asked him for help, not to talk, but to find a hitman. Shocked, Mohammed went straight to the Boynton Beach Police Department. From that moment on, police decided to play along, setting up one of the most unbelievable sting operations ever caught on film: the Sting Operation. In late July 2009, police arranged for Mohammed to meet Dahlia in a gas station parking lot. Hidden cameras captured her calmly discussing how she wanted her husband killed. 2 days later, Dahlia met the supposed hitman, who was actually an undercover police officer. She sat in his car, explaining where her husband lived, his daily routine, and the best time to do it. Then came the moment that made headlines.
One of those men is in the front seat of this car.
Your life straight after this, seriously, don't ever do this, you know?
And they're not talking about the weather.
Killing somebody, come on. I mean, that's, you know, nobody's gonna be able to point a finger at me.
When the officer asked how sure she was about going through with it, Dahlia replied, "I'm like 5,000% sure."
I'm positive, like 5,000% sure.
She handed him cash, a photo of Michael, and promised more payment after the job was done. That was all police needed. With everything on tape, they decided to stage a fake murder scene with help from the TV show Cops, which just happened to be filming with the local department at the time. The fake crime scene. On the morning of August 5th, 2009, police set up a fake crime scene at the DiPolito's townhouse. Yellow tape, police cars, even fake forensic photos, it all looked horrifyingly real.
That whole crime scene, it's fake. Police claim Dahlia ordered a hit on her husband and that they have hidden camera video to prove it.
When Dahlia returned home from the gym, officers told her that her husband had been shot. She broke down in apparent grief.
Okay, I'm sorry to tell you, man, he's been killed.
Sobbing and shaking as cameras rolled. It became one of the most viral crime clips ever seen. But just hours later, everything changed. At the police station, Dahlia sat in an interrogation room. Suddenly, the door opened, and in walked Michael alive and unharmed. She froze. The officers then told her the truth. Her husband wasn't dead. The entire thing had been a setup.
Her attorney, Brian Claypool, says Dahlia is the innocent victim of a fame-hungry police department.
This case is about a police department that tossed her under the bus for purposes of getting fame on a Cops TV show.
He points to that now infamous moment when police staged a fake crime scene and told Dahlia DiPolito that her husband was dead.
And she was under arrest for solicitation of first-degree murder.
Dahlia says it was all part of a plan she hatched with her then-husband, Michael DiPolito, and former lover, Mohammed Shahadi, to get famous.
So this was acting?
But prosecutors say that was no act and allege she promised to pay this undercover cop posing as a hitman to kill her husband of 6 months.
Trials and twists. The case went viral instantly. Footage from cops, interrogation tapes, and sting videos flooded the internet. In 2011, Dahlia went to trial. Her defense was that the entire thing had been staged, that Michael had worked with police to humiliate her for television.
Dahlia's defense team said Michael hatched the plot for reality TV fame.
But prosecutors weren't convinced. They played the recordings of her meetings and her own chilling words. "I'm 0% sure." The jury took only a few hours to find her guilty.
The plot, his wife Dahlia hatched to have him murdered.
I'm positive, like 5,000% sure.
She was sentenced to 20 years in prison. However, her lawyers appealed, arguing that the jury selection had issues. They won a new trial.
Taking the stand for the first time since her arrest in 2009 and her conviction in 2011.
I was accused of something that I didn't do.
The second trial ended in a mistrial after jurors couldn't reach a verdict. But in 2017, a third trial was held. Once again, Dahlia was found guilty and sentenced to 16 years in prison.
Looks like it's all over for the newlywed accused of hiring a hitman to do away with her husband.
We find the defendant guilty of solicitation to commit first-degree murder.
Sobs rang out as the verdict was announced.
She tried appealing all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court, but every attempt was denied. Aftermath and legacy today, Dahlia DiPolito remains behind bars.
Nearly 10 years after she was convicted in a murder-for-hire plot to kill her husband, Dahlia DiPolito is taking her case to the nation's highest court. According to court documents, DiPolito filed a request with the U.S. Supreme Court to review her case. She claims she was set up by the jury.
Her story continues to fascinate true crime audiences, not just because of what she did, but because of how it unfolded. The entire sting was caught on camera, sparking debates about media ethics, police tactics, and the strange overlap between reality TV and real crime.
The Cops show just happened to be here at the time of this investigation. We're not in the business of producing television. We're in the business of saving lives, and we believe we did that in this case.
Some people believe she was manipulated or entrapped. Others see it as a clear case of greed, betrayal, and emotional manipulation gone too far.
What's been the hardest part?
Not knowing when it's over, not being able to leave, watching everybody around me being able to come and go as they want, and I can't I can't do that, and just trying to be happy for them as they're coming back and forth and stuff.
Either way, the Dalia Dippolito case remains one of the most shocking crime-for-hire stories in modern American history. Conclusion: what began as a whirlwind romance ended in handcuffs, national headlines, and a lifetime of regret. It's a chilling reminder that love can blind us, but lies, greed, and desperation can destroy everything.
You know, their first defense in the other trial, I know it's something different, it was a reality TV show, which is ridiculous. Now they want to blame it on the Boynton Beach police, which is ridiculous. I also heard that I'm a physical abuser, which I've never done. Point being, though, I just feel they could have did a lot more in the case that they didn't do.
This is the story of Dalia Dippolito, the wife who wanted her husband dead and got caught on camera trying to make it happen.
Matthew Johnson is not missing. Matthew Johnson was murdered by the defendant. The defendant confessed to the informant that she shot Matthew in the master bedroom with a gun as he slept in the master bed.
Imagine reporting your husband missing when you already know exactly where he is. This is the story of Jennifer Gledhill, a wife whose lies unraveled into one of Utah's darkest murder cases. The disappearance that started it all. It began on the morning of September 25th, 2024, when the Utah National Guard made a call to local police because one of their own, Matthew Johnson, 51-year-old, and a member of their unit, didn't show up for duty.
He's not been to work. His family and his friends have not seen him. There's no phone records or bank records, no activity.
His absence raised alarms, especially because his wife, Jennifer Gledhill, 41, had already reported he had been missing since around September 20th, 2024.
Matthew has not been seen or heard from since September 20th of 2024.
Following an argument at their home in Cottonwood Heights, Utah. From the outside, the Gledhill Johnson family seemed typical. 3 young children, a suburban home in Cottonwood Heights, and what appeared to be normal family life. But beneath that facade, troubling cracks were forming. Earlier in July 2024, Jennifer filed for divorce. Tensions over custody, separation, and alleged infidelity were already part of their story. The strange discovery. When police executed a search warrant for the Gledhill Johnson home, what they found raised immediate red flags. In the master bedroom, they discovered a brand new mattress bought mere days after Matthew's reported disappearance. They found reddish-brown stains on walls, blinds, bed frame, and carpet beneath the bed.
Is a cutout from that rug. Now, the location of that blood stain is consistent with where Matthew would sleep.
The wall behind the bed was marked by a heavy dose of bleach. In fact, a circular stain on the bedroom floor under the head of the bed tested positive for human blood. Added to this, Jennifer's phone, GPS data, and surveillance video all pointed to movements and behavior inconsistent with someone whose spouse simply left. For example, data placed her vehicle at a gas station car wash where she thoroughly cleaned the vehicle on September 22, 2024, a day tied to the timeline investigators believe the murder occurred. The affair and the confession. Investigators uncovered that Jennifer was having an extramarital affair. A confidential informant, the man she was reportedly seeing, told police that on the night of September 22, 2024, Jennifer came to his home visibly upset and made a confession that wired investigators into action. According to his statement, Jennifer said that on September 21, 2024, while Matthew was asleep in their bed, she shot him in the head with his own 9mm Glock handgun. She then wrapped his body, hid it in a rooftop storage container, slid him down the stairs of their home, loaded him into her minivan, drove north, dug a shallow grave, and buried him.
She also confessed that she loaded Matthew's body into a rooftop storage container, slid him down the stairs, and loaded him into the back of her minivan. She confessed that she took Matthew's body north, dug a hole, and buried him in a shallow grave.
She told the informant bruises on her arms and legs were from moving Matthew's body and cleaning the house. She admitted to smashing his phone and hiding his vehicle in a nearby neighborhood.
She confessed that she smashed Matthew's cell phone and hid his truck in a neighborhood near the house.
He recorded the conversation and later gave those recordings and screenshots.
In fact, some of the new evidence the state has are videos taken that night of the defendant and Matthew arguing in the master bedroom.
To police one chilling quote reportedly from Jennifer during a follow-up call. He's not a person. He wasn't a person anymore. He wasn't Matt. Arrest and charges. On October 2nd, 2024, Jennifer Gledhill was arrested and taken into custody without bond. On October 15th, 2024, the Salt Lake County District Attorney's Office formally filed 9 felony charges against her. First-degree murder, 5 counts of obstruction of justice, possession with intent to distribute, abuse or desecration of a human body, and witness tampering. The body of Matthew Johnson remains unrecovered, a fact that complicates the legal and emotional landscape of the case. Just days later, on October 24th, 2024, Jennifer's parents, Thomas Gledhill, 71, and Rosalie Gledhill, 67, were arrested for investigation of obstruction of justice. Police allege they helped clean up the crime scene, purchase a new mattress for Jennifer's home after the incident, and otherwise assist in hiding evidence.
A new mattress on the master bed, a smell of bleach in the house, fresh wipe marks from the cleaning on the wall behind the master bed, and blood found in the carpet underneath the master bed and on the slats of the master bed.
In February 2025, Judge Adam Mao ordered that Jennifer stand trial. She waived her right to a preliminary hearing and pleaded not guilty to all charges. Additionally, in March 2025, a judge denied her bond, citing that she posed a significant danger to the community. She is also ordered to have no contact with her children, ages 11, 7, and 5, either in person or electronically. The judge cited concerns for their safety and the integrity of the investigation. The dark reason behind it all? What truly makes this story chilling is the mixture of motive, confession, and absence of a body. Prosecutors allege Jennifer killed Matthew after he confronted her about the affair. The date of September 20th, 2024 is key. Matthew allegedly told her he knew about her affair. Officials believe that very night or the following early morning, she carried out the act. The forensic evidence supports the timeline, including the mattress purchase, the bleach discoloration, and GPS tracking of Jennifer's phone and vehicle. The confession to the informant gave prosecutors a detailed narrative of the crime in her own words. Still, the lack of a physical body leaves some critical questions unanswered. Where is Matthew Johnson buried? Was anyone else involved in the disposal? Did Jennifer act alone? The involvement of her parents raises additional questions. Were they willing participants?
Night officers have now arrested the parents of the woman accused of killing her husband, a National Guardsman.
Thomas and Rosalie Gledhill have been arrested on 3 counts of obstruction of justice.
Or did they believe they were helping their daughter in some other way? Court documents say the mother purchased the new mattress at Jennifer's request, and the father's phone records place him where the mattress was delivered.
Police say the Gledhills helped their daughter Jennifer clean up the evidence after she murdered Matthew Johnson.
For true crime audiences and documentary creators like your channel Judge Wire, the interplay of life, death, secrecy, and a missing body gives the narrative a haunting edge. Conclusion. In the quiet hills of Cottonwood Heights, the Gledhill Johnson home was transformed from family space to crime scene overnight. What started as a marriage on the brink became an alleged murder plot with haunting implications. A wife is accused of walking into her bed, shooting the man she once called husband, cleaning up the crime scene, burying the body, and then going on with life, all while her 3 children remained in the home. Jennifer Gledhill remains incarcerated, awaiting a trial set for late 2025. The body of Matthew Johnson has still not been located. His family, his fellow National Guardsmen, and the community continue to search not only for answers, but for a way to bring him home. This story is a stark reminder. Sometimes the person who reports someone missing may hold the answers. Sometimes the face of a loving mother hides long-buried secrets.
Police say the parents have not cooperated with the investigation and have not helped to find Johnson's body. Police are still searching for that body tonight.
And sometimes, simple questions. Where is he? Who will tell the truth? Echo longer than any confession. If you found this story gripping, please like this video, comment your thoughts on how you think justice will unfold, and don't forget to subscribe to Judge Wire for more real-life crime stories like this.
Dr. Waidong Henry Han, 57, his wife Huiji Jenny Yu, 29, and their kindergartner daughter Emily were discovered dead in the garage of their Goleta home earlier this week.
Imagine showing up to a quiet suburban home and discovering an entire family missing. Imagine friends worried, police searching, and a community hoping for the best, while the truth is already lying cold and silent in the garage. This is the story of the Han family murder case, a chilling tale of trust, betrayal, and a calculated plan carried out by someone they once called a friend. What unfolded in Santa Barbara remains one of California's darkest and most shocking triple homicides.
Well, the murders of a beloved doctor, his wife, and their little girl left their Santa Barbara, California community reeling.
The discovery. On March 23, 2016, Santa Barbara County deputies made a horrifying discovery inside a quiet home on Green Hill Way near Goleta, California. 3 members of the respected Han family, 57-year-old Dr. Henry Waidong Han, his 29-year-old wife Jenny Yu, and their 5-year-old daughter Emily, were found dead in their garage.
Santa Barbara Sheriff's deputies discovered Dr. Han, his wife Jenny, and their daughter Emily murdered 3 days shy of her 6th birthday. Prosecutor Ben Ledinig says they had been shot while they slept.
Their bodies had been wrapped in plastic sheets and bound with duct tape, showing clear signs of an attempt to conceal the crime. All 3 victims had died from multiple gunshot wounds, most of them fired at close range. The discovery happened after Dr. Han missed an important business meeting, prompting 2 associates to visit the home. When they noticed the door slightly open and the family car still parked in the garage, they alerted authorities.
Trying to call Henry and was going straight to voicemail.
Something was not right. What deputies found inside would become one of California's most disturbing family murder cases. Who the Han family were. Dr. Henry Han was not just a respected herbalist, he was a well-loved figure in Santa Barbara. As the founder of the Santa Barbara Herb Clinic, he helped thousands of patients using traditional herbal medicine. His wife, Jenny Yu, was known for her gentle nature and devotion to her daughter. And little Emily Han, only 5 years old, was the heart of the home, bright, curious, and adored by everyone who met her.
Emily had her own little table and her crayons. Her mom, Jenny, was there working in the clinic. It's kind of good therapy to be with the 3 of them.
Their sudden and violent deaths devastated neighbors and sent shockwaves through the community. No one could imagine who would want to harm a family known for compassion, intelligence, and kindness. But investigators would soon learn that the killer wasn't a stranger. It was someone the family trusted. The investigation. From the very beginning, detectives realized the crime had been planned with meticulous detail. The bodies were wrapped tightly, the plastic and tape brought by the killer. A .22 caliber firearm fitted with a homemade suppressor had been used to keep the gunshots quiet. Shell casings were found hidden in bedding, and bullet fragments were even dumped into the washing machine. A failed attempt to destroy evidence. Investigators focused on recent communications and quickly identified the last major contact Dr. Hahn had. 27-year-old Pierre Haubsch, a business associate who claimed to be involved in medical technology and herbal-based projects with Dr. Hahn. Haubsch became the primary suspect.
A beloved doctor and his family are murdered. Investigators quickly close in on a suspect with a fantastical tale, claiming he was set up.
Just 2 days later, on March 25, 2016, deputies arrested him at a gas station in San Diego County. Inside his car, they found a loaded 9mm handgun, a .22 caliber weapon, a homemade silencer, and several belongings of the Hahn family.
Investigators arrested 26-year-old Pierre Haubsch almost 200 miles away at a gas station near Oceanside, armed with weapons, his passport, go bags, and items belonging to the victims.
They also located rolls of plastic and duct tape matching the ones used at the crime scene. Haubsch had minor injuries on his arms, inconsistent stories, and a car packed with gear. Signs he may have been preparing to flee California. The evidence against him was quickly stacking up. Motive and evidence. As detectives dug deeper, a disturbing motive surfaced: money, built on betrayal and greed. Dr. Hahn and Haubsch had recently begun working on a business called Obsidian Pteridine, focusing on CBD-related medical treatments. But behind the scenes, Haubsch was in serious financial trouble. Digital forensics later showed that he had secretly installed spyware on Dr. Hahn's computer, recording keystrokes, passwords, bank information, and private messages. Right after the murders, investigators found evidence of attempted transfers from Dr. Hahn's accounts. Haubsch's internet search history painted an even darker picture. How to make a gun suppressor, how long fingerprints last on plastic, how to cross into Mexico. Undetected surveillance cameras showed him buying plastic sheeting, duct tape, ammunition, and tools shortly before the murders. Prosecutors argued that this was a premeditated, financially motivated triple homicide, executed to gain control over Dr. Hahn's finances and business assets. The evidence, digital, physical, and behavioral, left little room for doubt. Trial, conviction, and aftermath. The case took years to move through the courts. Haubsch repeatedly denied involvement and offered bizarre explanations, including conspiracy theories and claims of being set up. Prosecutors originally sought the death penalty, but later dropped it in exchange for a bench trial, meaning the verdict rested solely with a judge. After months of testimony and overwhelming evidence, the verdict was delivered on November 24, 2021. Pierre Haubsch was found guilty of all 3 counts of first-degree murder, with special circumstances for multiple murders and murder for financial gain. On April 15, 2022, Haubsch was sentenced to 3 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole, plus an additional 75 years to life for firearm enhancements.
Judge Brian Hill sentenced Pierre Haubsch to 3 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole, followed by 75 years to life in state prison.
The judge stated clearly that Haubsch showed no remorse and that the evidence proved he carried out the murders with cold, calculated precision. The Santa Barbara community, still grieving the loss of a beloved family, expressed relief that justice had been served. Friends and patients of Dr. Hahn spoke emotionally about how deeply the deaths affected them. The tragedy left a permanent scar, but the sentencing brought some closure. Today, the Hahn family is remembered for their kindness, their contributions to the community, and the bright future that was stolen from them. Their story remains one of the most haunting examples of trust shattered by greed.
Within a minute or two, it sunk in that the 3 bodies were Henry, Jenny, and Emily. My friends were gone. There's a certain amount of shock that sets in.
We didn't hear back from Dawn. We didn't eat that night. We didn't sleep that night.
If you found this story gripping, please like this video, comment your thoughts on how justice unfolded, and don't forget to subscribe to Judge Wire for more real-life crime stories just like this.
Communications.
I'm a plumber and I'm on site for a job, and we got we're snaking a drain, and we've been pulling back. We probably pulled back about 10 pounds, 15 pounds of it looks like flesh type of stuff, meat, and we don't know what it is.
Sometimes the people we trust most can hide the darkest secrets. In the quiet city of Oshawa, Canada, 2 young women vanished without a trace, only for the horrifying truth to surface months later. This is the chilling story of Rory Hutch and Candace Fitzpatrick and the man who shattered their lives, Adam Strong. The victims. Rory Hutch was a bright, outgoing young woman with dreams and ambitions. She was 20 years old when she disappeared. Friends described her as friendly, always smiling, and someone who lit up any room she entered. Candace Fitzpatrick, a few years older, was known for her warmth and laughter. Like Rory, she had hopes and plans, living a life that seemed ordinary, but would soon be cut tragically short. Both women were last seen in Oshawa, Ontario, but their disappearances initially did not trigger widespread alarms. Their families, desperate for answers, reached out to friends, posted on social media, and reported them missing. Enter Adam Strong. Adam Strong, a 34-year-old man living in Oshawa, seemed to be just another resident. He worked odd jobs and lived alone in a modest apartment. But behind closed doors, Strong harbored a dark obsession with the women he lured into his life. Police investigations later revealed that Strong had meticulously planned his crimes. He wasn't a random killer. He had targeted his victims with calculated precision, exploiting their trust and vulnerability. The disappearances Rory Hutch went missing first. It was early 2019 when friends and family noticed she hadn't been heard from for days. Her phone was turned off, and there were no social media updates. For weeks, everyone feared the worst, but clung to hope. Soon after, Candace Fitzpatrick also vanished. While the disappearances might have seemed coincidental at first, the connections began to emerge. Both women had crossed paths with Adam Strong. He had presented himself as a charming, approachable man, someone they could trust, a facade that hid his sinister intentions. The gruesome discovery. The investigation took a horrifying turn in October 2019 when a plumber was called to Strong's apartment to fix a clogged drain. Instead of water and debris, he discovered human remains.
It was in 2017 when people in the house he was living in complained that they were having trouble with their plumbing. That led to a call to check out the pipes, and in those pipes was eventually found pieces of flesh.
The police were immediately alerted, and a full-scale investigation began. When officers searched Adam Strong's apartment, they uncovered a macabre scene. Human body parts were found hidden throughout his residence, in drains, in boxes, and in other concealed spaces. It became immediately clear that this was not a simple case of murder. It was premeditated, cold, and calculated. The police investigation, Oshawa Police, along with forensic experts, meticulously pieced together the evidence. They discovered that both Rory Hutch and Candace Fitzpatrick had been murdered and dismembered. The methodical way the bodies were concealed suggested a disturbing level of planning and psychological detachment. Investigators also traced the last movements of the victims. Phone records, social media messages, and witness statements all pointed toward Adam Strong as the common link. His calm demeanor and ability to manipulate those around him made the case all the more chilling. Adam Strong's motive. Strong's motive seemed rooted in obsession and control. Reports indicate he was fixated on the women he targeted, and when they resisted or refused him, he responded with deadly force.
I felt right from the get-go that this was a seasoned person that has done this before, because my daughter was tough. She was very tough, and she would not have been an easy catch for anybody to handle, you know what I mean? So I knew he knew what he was doing.
The murders were not crimes of passion or rage. They were calculated, predatory acts designed to satisfy his twisted desires. During the investigation, detectives uncovered items and journals in Strong's apartment that indicated he had planned these crimes in advance, carefully studying his victims and their routines.
You said to the officers, if you're looking for the rest of her, you'll
I decline to answer that question. I was told these things go on for like hours. Is that true? Again, it's true.
It was a shocking revelation that someone could plot such atrocities in secret while appearing normal to the outside world. Trial and conviction. Adam Strong was arrested and charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder.
45-year-old Adam Strong is charged with improper indecent interference with a dead body. Rory's remains were found in an Oshawa basement apartment on December 29th. Strong was arrested inside the home. Rory's mom, Shannon Dion, and her family were in court today.
During the trial, the prosecution laid out the horrifying evidence found in his apartment, as well as the connections between him and the victims.
In their search of Adam Strong's apartment, police had found blood splatter on the bedroom walls and ceiling. They had also discovered sex toys and an air mattress on which they detected blood. An autopsy found semen on Rory's remains, and blood evidence would support the conclusion that Rory was wearing a restraint device at the time of her death.
Testimonies from investigators, forensic experts, and even acquaintances painted a picture of a man who was cold, manipulative, and ruthless. The courtroom proceedings were emotionally charged as family members recounted the devastating loss of their loved ones.
Obviously, she got back to your place at some point. So we obviously ended up with Rory dead.
Apparently.
Well, yeah.
She's definitely deceased.
Yes.
Yes.
And you clearly have said, yeah, I disposed of her.
Yes.
After a tense trial, Strong was found guilty of both murders. The court described the crimes as extreme in their depravity and planning, leaving no doubt about the danger Strong posed to society. He was sentenced to life in prison, ensuring he would never harm anyone again.
Now, Adam Strong was convicted last year and sentenced to life in prison on charges of manslaughter and first-degree murder.
Impact on the community. The murders of Rory Hodge and Candace Fitzpatrick shook Oshawa and surrounding communities. Friends and family were left grappling with grief and anger, while local residents struggled to comprehend how such evil could hide in plain sight.
At the news conference today, Candace Fitzpatrick's father did not want to talk to the media, but the family of Rory Hodge did speak about how this was an emotional day for both families.
I'm happy for the family. They have closure now.
Community vigils were held and memorials were established to honor the lives of the young women. The case also served as a stark warning about the dangers of deception and trust, how someone can appear normal and harmless while harboring deadly intentions. Remembering the victims. While the story of Adam Strong is horrific, it's essential to remember Rory Hodge and Candace Fitzpatrick not just as victims, but as young women with dreams, laughter, and lives full of potential. Their families continue to honor their memory, keeping their stories alive through advocacy and awareness. Friends remember Rory as someone who could brighten a room with her smile, and Candace as a woman whose laughter could lift anyone's spirits. Their lives, though tragically cut short, left an indelible mark on everyone who knew them.
I'm just satisfied that he'll never hurt anybody again. That's all that matters. You know, we can't bring Rory or Candace back, but we can protect other girls.
Conclusion. The murders committed by Adam Strong are a haunting reminder of the darkness that can exist behind ordinary facades. What began as 2 missing persons cases became a story of calculated violence, manipulation, and loss. Thanks to diligent police work and forensic investigation, justice was served. But the emotional scars left on the families, friends, and the community will never fully heal.
I don't have any words for this guy. I don't have any names to call him. I don't have any words for him. We'll never be the same again because this has slaughtered us all. This has completely slaughtered my entire life, my family.
As we remember Rory Hodge and Candace Fitzpatrick, their story serves as a warning and a call to stay vigilant, protect one another, and honor those whose lives were tragically taken. In the end, while evil can sometimes hide in the shadows, courage, awareness, and justice ensure that the truth can come to light, and those responsible are held accountable. If you found this story gripping, please like this video, Comment your thoughts on how you think justice will unfold, and don't forget to subscribe to Judge Wire for more real-life crime stories like this.
What's your name?
My name is Jennifer.
Someone just broke in?
Someone broke in and I heard shots like pops. I don't know what's happening. I'm tied upstairs.
It's every parent's worst nightmare, and the kind of crime no one ever imagines could come from inside their own home. On a quiet November night in 2010, in a peaceful Canadian suburb, a group of armed men stormed into a family home, tied everyone up, and opened fire. At first, it looked like a violent home invasion, maybe a robbery gone wrong. But within days, investigators uncovered something far darker, something so twisted it stunned an entire country. Because the truth wasn't about strangers breaking in. It was about a daughter who planned everything. This is the shocking, unraveling story of Jennifer Pan, the girl who hired hitmen to kill her own parents.
Han Pan somehow survives what was meant to be his execution.
I'm okay. My dad just went outside screaming.
Do you think your mom is downstairs too?
I don't hear her anymore.
Introduction. Jennifer Pan seemed like the perfect daughter. Quiet, obedient, respectful, and dedicated to school. Her parents, Han and Beach Ha Pan, were Vietnamese immigrants who had worked brutally hard to build a life in Canada. They were strict, no doubt, but they believed deeply in discipline, education, and success.
The Pans were the epitome of an immigrant success story. Han Pan and his wife Bic were Vietnamese boat people who escaped to find a better life.
They wanted their children to have a future better than anything they ever had. But behind the closed doors of the Pan household, things were not what they appeared. And behind Jennifer's perfect smiling image, a storm was building. A storm that would eventually lead to murder. The pressure of perfection. Jennifer grew up under what many called tiger parenting. Her schedule was tightly controlled: piano lessons, figure skating, schoolwork. Everything had to be perfect. By 8th grade, Jennifer began experiencing intense pressure. She wasn't doing well in school, but she couldn't bear the idea of disappointing her parents. So she did something that slowly became a habit. She started lying. Small lies at first. A grade changed here, a report faked there. But as high school went on, her grades kept dropping. Instead of trying harder, she simply created a second life. A life built on forged report cards and imaginary achievements. When her parents believed she'd been accepted into Ryerson University, she kept the lie going for years, even pretending to attend classes, buying textbooks, and staying at friends' houses to study.
She bought textbooks, she had highlighters, she had notebooks. She would tell her parents about professors and exams and people in her class. And, you know, her entire family knew a complete false history about her education career.
In reality, she was living a double life, sneaking around with her boyfriend, Daniel Wong, a guy her parents had forbidden her from seeing. To Jennifer, the lies felt like survival. But every lie she told only dug the hole deeper. The double life. By 2008, Jennifer's entire world was fake. Her parents believed she was studying pharmacy, volunteering at hospitals, and preparing for a bright future. None of it was real. She spent most of her time hanging out with Daniel, going to clubs, and escaping the pressure she felt at home. But she always had to return to her parents, who still believed she was the perfect daughter. And that's where the real problem started. Her parents eventually discovered the truth: the fake university, the forged documents, the lies. Everything collapsed. Han and Beach reacted the way strict parents would. They tightened control. Jennifer's phone was taken. She couldn't see Daniel. She couldn't go out unless supervised. She was treated like a prisoner in her own home. Daniel broke up with her shortly after, beginning to date someone else. And Jennifer was left alone, trapped and furious. For her, this wasn't just discipline. It was humiliation. She felt cornered, and her mind drifted somewhere dark. The murder plan. Jennifer and Daniel eventually reconnected, but the relationship wasn't the same. And this time, the conversations took a terrifying turn. Daniel told her about a man he knew, someone who could make people disappear, a hitman. Jennifer didn't react with shock. She reacted with interest. If her parents were gone, she believed, she'd inherit the house, the money, and finally be free to live the way she wanted. By the spring of 2010, Jennifer had started discussing the plan seriously. She spoke with multiple people, including Lenford Crawford, a man involved in petty crimes, and David Milviganum, who would eventually become one of the shooters. The price? $10,000 for both of her parents. And on November 8, 2010, Jennifer Pan gave the killers the go-ahead. The night of the crime. It was supposed to look like a home invasion. Around 9:30 p.m., 3 armed men entered the Pan family home in Markham, Ontario. Jennifer opened the front door for them, claiming later that they forced her, but investigators would prove she let them in willingly.
Police are able to link the time of the text to this exact moment right here, captured on home security video from across the street. Police believe that's Jennifer turning the light in her bedroom on and off, signaling she's unlocked the front door.
The masked intruders tied Jennifer's hands loosely behind her back using a shoelace. Then they moved through the house, grabbing her parents and forcing them into the living room.
A gunman ties Jennifer's hands behind her back with a shoelace and drags her from room to room and ransacks the house.
Han Pan fought back and for that, they shot him twice. He collapsed but unbelievably survived. Bish Pan begged for mercy. They shot her multiple times and killed her instantly.
Han Pan somehow survives what was meant to be his execution.
My dad just went outside screaming.
Do you think your mom is downstairs too?
I don't hear her anymore.
Jennifer remained upstairs, pretending to be tied up, even calling 911 while the killers fled the house. In the call, she cried and acted terrified, but her hands were loosely bound, and she clearly had access to her phone.
I want to see how you could physically get your phone out of your waistband. Questions they're going to obviously raise is that if my hands are bound and I'm against the railing, how do I talk to a 911 operator? So your hands bound together, and this is the arm that's the strings wrapped around against the banister? Mm-hmm. Okay, so now how can you get to the phone? And how do you make the phone call? 911?
Mm-hmm.
And do you talk down like that?
Yes, I'm yelling at the phone like this.
And how can you hear?
I turned the volume on max.
Yes? So that's exactly the way that you're talking to her against the railing.
Mm-hmm.
Her performance was convincing, at least at first. But the truth was about to catch up to her. The investigation. Police were immediately suspicious. First, Han Pan survived, something Jennifer and the hitmen never expected. He awoke in the hospital and told detectives something that changed the entire case. He said, they were talking to each other. They seemed to know Jennifer.
Her dad, Han Pan. He was shot in the face, but lived and told police his daughter lied about being tied up to a banister during the attack. In fact, he told police that he actually saw Jennifer buddying up to the gunman who killed her mother.
And she was not tied up. That was the turning point. Second, Jennifer's 911 call didn't match her story. Her calm moments between screams, her ability to handle the phone, the loose bindings on her wrists, everything looked staged. Detectives brought her in for multiple interviews. With each interview, her story changed slightly. But the real breakthrough came when police used a nonverbal analysis technique, basically watching her body language, tearing apart her timeline, and putting pressure on the inconsistencies. Finally, Jennifer cracked. She admitted she orchestrated the attack, but in her version, she only hired the men to kill her. Detectives didn't buy it for a second.
Not much was stolen. There was a Mercedes and a Lexus in the garage. They weren't stolen. There were TVs, there were devices, there was money that was found in the house, which wasn't stolen. Thieves that get away into the night without cash that was left on the counter aren't very good thieves.
Digital evidence, text messages, phone records, and witness statements all pointed to one truth. Jennifer Pan planned the murder of her own parents. The trial. The case went to trial in 2014, and it became one of the most watched courtroom dramas in Canada. Prosecutors laid out everything, the months of planning. The payments made the text messages coordinating the attack, the staged home invasion. And Jennifer's motive, freedom from her parents' control and a life with Daniel Wong. Jennifer cried throughout the trial, insisting she never meant for her mother to die. But the evidence was overwhelming. In the end, the jury found Jennifer Pan guilty of first-degree murder and attempted murder. Daniel Wong guilty, David Milvaganam guilty, Lenford Crawford guilty. Jennifer was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole for 25 years, plus another sentence for the attempted murder of her father. She will likely spend most, if not all, of her life behind bars. Aftermath and impact, the Pan family home, once a quiet suburban sanctuary, became a symbol of the unimaginable. Han Pan survived, but he lost his wife and the daughter he thought he knew. He completely cut all contact with Jennifer. In a heartbreaking victim impact statement, he said, "I lost my wife. I lost my daughter. I don't feel like I have a family anymore." The community was left stunned. How could a seemingly gentle, well-behaved girl orchestrate such brutality? The case sparked national debates about parental pressure, mental health, strict immigrant households, and the hidden lives young people can lead behind closed doors. But none of those debates changed the horror of what happened. The final reflection. Jennifer Pan's story is not just a crime story. It's a chilling reminder of how lies can grow, how pressure can twist a person's mind, and how desperation can turn into violence. She could have told the truth. She could have asked for help. She could have walked away. Instead, she picked murder. The perfect daughter wasn't perfect at all. She was planning her parents' death and almost succeeded. And that is the horrifying story of Jennifer Pan. If you found this story gripping, please like this video, comment your thoughts on how you think justice will unfold, and don't forget to subscribe to Judge Wire for more real-life crime stories like this.
My sister, she read me and sprayed something that make everything smell good, and she didn't do this. She done the stuff that she didn't supposed to, so my mama got mad at her. So she threw him in the pool.
He's so small, his feet barely touch the floor. A white shirt, a little vest, a shy 7-year-old standing in front of a microphone that's almost too big for him. The prosecutor asks softly, "Who is this in your drawing?" The boy points to a stick figure by the pool.
My mama.
Okay. And what does she do?
Killing my sister.
How is she doing that, AJ?
Putting her hand over her face.
That's my mama, killing my sister. In that moment, an entire courtroom stops breathing. This is the case of Amanda Lewis and the little boy whose words helped send his own mother to prison for the death of his sister, Adriana. It is one of the most contested, emotionally charged courtroom stories of the last 2 decades. A tragedy at a backyard pool that became a murder trial built around the testimony of a child. Today, we're stepping inside that courtroom, walking through the day Adriana died, and listening carefully to what 7-year-old AJ said and what he couldn't quite remember. Because the question at the heart of this case is as brutal as it is simple. Did Amanda Lewis murder her daughter? Or did a tragic accident get rewritten through the eyes of a frightened little boy? The morning of Adriana's death starts quietly. AJ, full name Andrew Jordan, but everyone calls him AJ, is 7 years old. He goes to Graceville Elementary, 1st grade. He tells the court his favorite color is green. That morning, he says, he sleeps in the living room on a little fold-out camping bed. His younger sister, Adriana, sleeps in the bedroom. Their mother, Amanda Lewis, works nights. When she comes home from her shift, AJ says he's still sleeping. Later, he remembers watching cartoons. Outside, men are working on trees near the property. There's a red wagon, a little bike, some toy tractors, a fire truck. It's the kind of setting that should belong to a normal, forgettable summer day. But it isn't. In the beginning of his testimony, the prosecutor doesn't dive straight into the drowning. He has to prove something first, that AJ understands the difference between truth and lies.
If I told you I had on a green shirt, I got on a green shirt?
Also,
What color shirt do I have on?
white.
Would that be the truth or a lie if I said I had a green shirt on?
A lie.
If I told you my shirt was green, he asks, would that be the truth or a lie? A lie, AJ answers. If he says AJ's shirt is white, that's the truth. When the prosecutor asks what happens to little boys who don't tell the truth, AJ says quietly, they get spanked and they get grounded. Then he's asked the first question that truly cuts. Where is your mother right now? In jail, AJ says. Not in the courtroom, not at home. Jail. He knows she can't be in front of him because, in his words, she can't be here. That simple fact, my mother is in jail, hangs over everything that follows. The prosecutor then gently rewinds AJ's memory. For now, the prosecutor keeps AJ on what he can fix to the ground. Locations, objects, pictures. He pulls up photographs of the property on a screen. The dirt road in front of the trailer, the place where the tree workers were cutting, the corner where AJ's red wagon usually sits, the above-ground pool in the backyard. Where were they working that day? The prosecutor asks. AJ points to the trees in front of the property. Whose wagon is this? Mine. Whose bike is that? Mine. Whose pool is this? Alan's, AJ says at first, then corrects himself. How the wagon got near the pool. AJ says his mother pulled the wagon from the front of the property all the way back beside the pool. That wagon will later become central to both sides. Was it a step stool for a little girl to reach the water, or part of something darker? The prosecutor brings out another piece of evidence, a piece of poster board with crayon drawings on it, stick figures, a round pool, a rectangle for a wagon, a tree, a little boy. Who drew this? He asks. I did, AJ says. This drawing, done earlier during an interview with investigators, is supposed to help him tell the story. The prosecutor asks permission to show it to the jury. Then he kneels down beside the boy.
Tell me, AJ, what is this right here?
My pool.
Your pool?
Yes, sir.
The one that was in this picture that we just saw a few minutes ago?
Yes, sir.
All right. And who is this right here?
Me.
What are you doing, AJ?
I was playing.
All right. Were you playing with anything?
Yes, sir.
What were you playing with?
What is this? He asks, pointing to the large circle. My pool, AJ says. And who is this? Pointing to one of the stick figures. Me. And what are you doing? Playing, AJ says. He says he was in the tree when it happened. The prosecutor points to another figure, taller, outside the PI pool. Who is this? My mama. What is she doing? He asks.
Killing my sister.
How is she doing that, AJ?
Killing my sister, AJ says. How? Putting her hand over her face. His small voice barely lifts over the hum of the courtroom. The prosecutor doesn't push him to mimic the motion when AJ resists, saying he doesn't want to demonstrate it. Instead, he has the jury look again at the drawing. He points to a thick line drawn from the mother figure over the edge of the pool to the smaller stick figure inside. What is this? My mama's arm, AJ says. There are two more words written in wobbly child handwriting at the bottom of the paper. She did. What does that mean? The prosecutor asks. She died, AJ explains. She did die. He says too bad also means scary. From there, the prosecutor zooms out. He uses the drawing and the property sketch to anchor AJ's memory of where he was. AJ says that when his sister died, he was first in the tree, then moved closer, toward the corner of the trailer. where he could see the pool and his mother. He also says something else. He remembers firefighters and an ambulance coming. He remembers going to his grandparents' house afterward.
911. I need an ambulance, please. 911. I need an ambulance. What's wrong, ma'am? My daughter fell in the pool and she's not breathing. Where at, ma'am? In Esto. Yes, down the road from the post office at the very end.
He remembers talking to a police officer named Mike and telling him what he saw that same day on camera. Did you tell them the truth? The prosecutor asks. Yes, sir. Did you tell them everything you could remember? Yes, sir. But memory, especially a 7-year-old's memory, isn't a simple recording, and the defense is about to lean hard on that. When it's his turn, the defense attorney doesn't attack the boy. He does something quieter and more methodical. He starts asking about the same day, but from different angles. Were you inside or outside when your sister drowned? Outside. Did she go to the park that day? Yes. Why? My mother told her to. Did Adriana get drowned before she went to the park or after? After she went to the park. The defense lawyer pauses, then asks the same question a different way. Did she get drowned before she went to the park? Yes, sir. So she got drowned twice, he asks. Before and after? Yes, sir, AJ says. How many times did she get drowned? Twice. Little by little, the defense attorney collects these contradictions. Did Adriana get drowned outside the pool or inside it? He answers both ways. Did she fall in while standing in the wagon? Did she step over the side? Did she scream? Did he call for the Army helicopter in the sky to help? Did he hit her with a white bucket earlier that day? AJ often says he doesn't remember, and sometimes says he never said those things at all, even when they're in prior interviews. The defense attorney is building an argument that AJ's story is inconsistent, that he might be confused, suggestible, or misled by repeated questioning, that his memory is a patchwork of impressions in adult questions. But there are certain parts AJ does not back away from. He remembers telling his mother, Adriana is upside down in the pool. He remembers her on the phone, running outside. He remembers that his sister was in the pool and that he couldn't get her out. He remembers that Adriana was scared of water and that she couldn't swim. And he remembers standing near the tree watching his mother by the pool. Most of all, he remembers what he drew. On that big sheet of paper, he drew himself, the pool, his sister, and his mother's arm reaching in. When asked again and again who killed Adriana, he doesn't hesitate. My mama. Outside the child's testimony, the rest of the case unfolds in adult language. Paramedics who responded to the scene say Adriana's drowning looks suspicious. Investigators note that Amanda didn't appear as wet as they would expect for a frantic mother pulling her child from a pool. Neighbors and relatives describe friction between Amanda and Adriana and a history of behavioral issues. The state's theory is that this wasn't a spontaneous act of madness, but a punishment that turned into murder. Amanda holding her daughter under the water for spraying cleaner and misbehaving. The son plus one, the defense offers a very different version. They argue that Amanda came home exhausted from a night shift, lay down while the children watched TV, and refused their repeated demands to go swimming. At some point, they say, Adriana sneaked out to the pool with the red wagon, tried to scoop bugs off the surface, and fell in. When AJ told his mother, Adriana is upside down in the pool, they say she ran outside, dragged her daughter from the water, tried CPR, and called 911 in a panic. They point out that drowning can look eerily silent, no thrashing, no screaming, especially in a small above-ground pool. Wikipedia. To the defense, AJ is a traumatized child trying to make sense of a horrific accident, his memories reshaped by repeated interviews, leading questions, and the enormous emotional pressure around him. To the prosecution, he is the only eyewitness to what really happened. And so this entire case, in a very real sense, becomes a referendum on whether you believe a 7-year-old. Listening to the full testimony, it's easy to feel torn. AJ is articulate one moment and lost the next. He sometimes says yes to two opposite questions in a row. He seems desperate to please the adults who ask him things, and also exhausted by the whole ordeal. At one point, he admits he's getting tired of answering questions. At another, he agrees that looking at the video of his earlier statement helped him remember. For the jury, none of that changed one central fact. When asked in simple terms, when given his own drawing, when allowed to answer in his own words, the boy said his mother drowned his sister. In 2008, Amanda Lewis was convicted of first-degree murder and aggravated child abuse for the death of 7-year-old Adriana Elaine Hutto. She was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The Sun Plus One supporters of Lewis have spent years arguing that she was wrongfully convicted, that a tragic accident was turned into a murder case built too heavily on the testimony of a single child. Others point to AJ's consistency on crucial points, his later public statements reaffirming his original testimony, and the physical evidence at the scene, and conclude that the jury made the only decision they could. The Sun Plus One AJ himself is no longer that small boy in a vest. He grew up, was adopted, changed his last name, and now lives far from that Florida trailer and the pool that defined his childhood. In a rare recent interview, he said he still stands by what he told the court all those years ago, that he believes his mother is, in his words, 100% guilty. The son Amanda Lewis maintains her innocence. Her legal team continues to challenge her conviction, arguing that grief, poverty, and a flawed investigation turned her into a villain in her own daughter's story. A simple drawing by a 7-year-old boy trying to show the adults what he says he saw. A line from his mother's arm to his sister's drowning body. In the end, this case forces us to sit with impossible questions. How much weight should a child's testimony carry when the stakes are life and death? Where is the line between a traumatized memory and a truthful one? And once a jury believes a little boy over his mother, is there any way to unwind that decision? Or is the story frozen forever in crayon on courtroom poster board? If you want more deep dives into real courtroom stories like this, cases where a few words, a single drawing, or one decision change everything, let me know in the comments and subscribe so you don't miss the next one.
The niece says Booker showed her around his apartment.
I told him I need to use the bathroom. He told me to wait, and he goes in and clean up some more.
That same bathroom, forensic scientist with Michigan State Police Tony Gruesome says traces of blood were found in multiple spots.
She said she'd be home soon. Just a quick errand, a short stop, nothing unusual. But the day slipped into night, her phone went silent, and her 2 young boys waited by the window for a mother who never came back. This is the heartbreaking disappearance and presumed murder of 30-year-old Ashley Lachey Elkins, a loving mother, a hairstylist, and a woman whose final moments remain hidden behind the walls of an apartment she should have never entered. Introduction. At the start of January 2025, as families returned to their routines after the holidays, the community of Warren, Michigan, was suddenly shaken when Ashley vanished without a trace. To her friends and family, this wasn't some mystery in the making. It was a nightmare. Ashley was responsible, deeply attached to her children, and the kind of person who would always check in. For her to disappear wasn't just unusual, it was impossible.
The missing Warren mother of 2 disappeared, launching a multi-city search. Police say Elkins was last seen January 2nd at her ex-boyfriend's Roseville apartment.
Her disappearance quickly grew into one of Michigan's most disturbing investigations of the year, involving abandoned vehicles, surveillance footage, blood evidence.
And Elkins' mom, Monica, says she last heard from her daughter January 1st. She claims she became worried when Elkins didn't respond to her numerous text messages or calls, which was unlike
and an ex-boyfriend whose story unraveled faster than he could hide the truth. The last day anyone saw her, January 2nd, 2025. Ashley left her home that morning saying she needed to run to the beauty supply store. She later told a family member she was on her way back. It was a normal day, nothing alarming, nothing tense. But somewhere between that drive and the neighborhoods outside Detroit, something went horrifically wrong. Her phone last pinged near an apartment complex in Roseville, a place connected to her ex-boyfriend, DeAndre Howard Booker.
I'm standing out back of Ashley's ex-boyfriend's Roseville apartment. This was the last place Ashley was, according to police.
The relationship had ended the previous year, but investigators would later learn it ended with tension and concern. When Ashley didn't come home, her family immediately went into panic mode.
Search is still on for any sign of Ashley Elkins. Family spokesperson Maurice Morton told us what people should remember most about his niece.
Beautiful young lady. You know, remember mostly that she is a mother of a 10-year-old and 7-year-old. So you have 2 young boys out there who don't have a mother.
She had 2 little boys who depended on her. She was not someone who went silent or disappeared willingly. Hours later, police located her gray Chevy Malibu abandoned near Booker's apartment building. The engine was off, the car was locked, and Ashley was nowhere near it. The first clues of foul play. Detectives moved quickly. Security cameras from the area revealed that Ashley had arrived at Booker's apartment earlier that day. But what they didn't see was her leaving. Not once. Not ever. Instead, the cameras showed Booker, not Ashley, driving her car later that afternoon. He walked out of his apartment, got into her vehicle, and casually drove away.
Police say her phone last pinged inside a Roseville apartment belonging to Booker, but they didn't find the pair. Investigators would later learn Booker's search history revealed he planned to go on the run before being arrested in Flint.
This detail was enough for investigators to question him immediately.
So far, no one is charged in Elkins' death, but investigators searched the home of her ex-boyfriend, DeAndre Booker, in connection to this case.
Booker gave multiple different stories, contradicting himself over and over. His accounts made no sense. Police arrested him by January 8th, initially only for lying to investigators.
Then on January 9th, DeAndre Booker was arrested in Flint and charged with lying to police.
But they knew something more sinister had happened. They just needed proof. And it didn't take long to find it. The horrifying discovery inside the apartment. When detectives searched Booker's apartment, what they found confirmed everyone's worst fear.
Police not only took the dumpster, they also combed inside and outside of the ex-boyfriend DeAndre Booker's apartment here.
Inside the bathroom, officers discovered a significant amount of blood, enough that investigators immediately described it as evidence of serious injury or worse. Forensic testing later verified it belonged to Ashley Elkins.
We conduct a search warrant on the residence and ultimately find what we believe to be a large crime scene with a substantial amount of blood in the bathroom. DNA confirms that the blood did in fact belong to the victim.
This wasn't a small accident. This was violence, brutal, intentional, and impossible to ignore. Further investigation revealed something even more disturbing. Surveillance footage showed Booker struggling to lift a heavy object wrapped in a bedsheet. At one point, what looked like a human arm hung out from the sheet.
Booker's niece also mentioned during her testimony 2 things that stood out to her that day. A rug rolled up in his living room, and he asked her if he turns off his phone, would anyone be able to track his location?
Booker then dumped this into a dumpster behind the complex. By the time officers traced the dumpster route, its contents had already been transferred to a landfill.
It was a dumpster just like this one that was confiscated a few weeks ago by police during a search. And we now, just as of this afternoon, have those results back. Police telling us that the DNA found inside the dumpster is a match for Ashley's DNA.
For days, search teams combed through mountains of debris, hoping to recover Ashley's remains. But the search came up empty. To this day, her body still hasn't been found. Charges, and what prosecutors believe happened. As evidence mounted, prosecutors finally took decisive action. On January 31st, 2025, Booker was formally charged with first-degree premeditated murder, dismemberment, and mutilation of a corpse, tampering with evidence, concealing a death. He was denied bond and remains behind bars as the case continues to move forward. Prosecutors believe Ashley went to Booker's apartment unaware of the danger she was in. What happened inside that bathroom is still unknown. There were no witnesses, no audio, no cameras inside the apartment. But the blood evidence, the surveillance footage, and the disposal attempts form a tragic timeline that prosecutors say points to intentional murder.
Last week, we learned about the bloody scene inside Booker's bathroom that came back positive for Ashley Elkins' DNA, leading to the first-degree murder charge. We also learned that labs are processing evidence collected during the search of the Pine Tree Acres landfill.
The family's heartbreak. While investigators built their case, Ashley's family lived in pure agony. Her two boys struggled to understand why their mother hadn't returned. In one interview, a family member said the youngest child continued to ask, is mom coming home today?
The youngest boy is 7, he's autistic. So he's still asking her, like, if the phone rings, that my mom. If somebody comes to the door, is that my mom? So he doesn't understand yet.
Those words broke hearts across the community. Ashley wasn't just a headline. She was a mother who made dinner, who braided hair, who laughed loudly, who worked hard to provide stability for her kids. Vigils were held, posters were printed, fundraisers were started to support her children, and people across Michigan followed every update, hoping for a miracle, or, at the very least, a chance to bring Ashley home. But as weeks passed, one painful truth became clear. They may never recover her remains.
How would you classify the search that took place in that landfill during that week?
It would have been like looking for a needle in a haystack. There was that much area and that much material to move.
A story that still needs peace. The case of Ashley Lachey Elkins is tragic, not only because of the violence she endured, but because the story remains incomplete.
Police have not been able to find Ashley's body. When investigators were executing a search warrant at her ex-boyfriend's apartment, they took a dumpster into evidence. Then they spent a week searching the Pine Tree Acres landfill in Lenox Township, but wasn't able to locate her.
A mother vanished, a family shattered, and justice still unfolding in the courts. Ashley's life mattered, her story matters. And until her body is found, her family can't give her the goodbye she deserves. For now, all they have is hope. Hope that someone will come forward, hope that evidence will surface, and hope that Ashley's memory will continue to shine brighter than the darkness that took her away. If you found this story gripping, please like this video, comment your thoughts on how you think justice will unfold, and don't forget to subscribe to Judge Wire for more real-life crime stories like this.
What's going on there? My daughter's boyfriend killed her. He chopped her head off. What is your daughter's name? Lisa died. I went in to check on her, and he cut her head off.
She was days away from her baby shower, excited for motherhood, and texting her family about names for her soon-to-arrive daughter. But inside her quiet Illinois apartment, something unimaginable was about to unfold.
She was savagely killed.
When her mother opened the door, she didn't just find her daughter dead. She discovered one of the most shocking and brutal crimes the state had ever seen. This is the true story of 22-year-old Lisa Dodd and the ex-boyfriend who murdered her with a level of violence that stunned the entire country. Introduction. What you're about to hear is a reconstruction based on police reports, official statements, and court documents. This is not dramatized. This is the real timeline of a pregnant woman's final hours, the urgent investigation that followed, and the sentencing that closed one of the darkest chapters her family ever faced. This is the case of Lisa A. Dodd and Deundrea S. Holloway. Who was Lisa Dodd? Lisa A. Dodd was 22 years old, living in Alton, Illinois, and preparing for one of the biggest moments of her life, the birth of her first child. She was nearly 8 months pregnant, and her family was excitedly planning a baby shower for her. She had already chosen a name for her unborn daughter, Milo. Her relationship with 25-year-old Deundrea S. Holloway had been on and off for about 2 years. The relationship had become unstable and emotionally draining, but Lisa was trying to move forward and build a safe, peaceful life for her child. The day everything went silent. On June 9th, 2022, Lisa's mother became concerned when she couldn't reach her.
Got a message from her last night.
What time did you last hear from her?
it was like 9:05 or so. I had sent her a text, and she said they were talking. And then I tried again at 10, and she didn't answer. And then I tried this morning 2 times, and she didn't answer. And so then I came over here because she usually answers.
Okay.
With the baby arriving soon, Lisa was constantly updating her family. Silence from her was unusual and worrying. Her mother drove to Lisa's apartment to check on her. The moment she opened the door, her world collapsed. Inside, she found her daughter's lifeless body.
911 with the address of...
Yeah. Hi. Listen.
What's going on
My
there?
girlfriend's daughter is killed. Yeah.
What's going on there?
My daughter's, he chopped her head off.
Police later confirmed a detail that horrified both the community and the nation. Lisa had been decapitated. Her head was found outside the apartment, placed in a dumpster. The responding officers called the crime savage and beyond comprehension.
She was savagely killed, decapitated by a freaking savage monster.
Even seasoned investigators said it was one of the most disturbing scenes they had ever encountered. The immediate investigation. Detectives quickly secured the scene and began piecing together what had happened. There were no signs of forced entry, no indication of a robbery, and no evidence suggesting a stranger had entered the apartment. Everything pointed toward someone familiar with Lisa, someone she had willingly allowed inside. Witness interviews, surveillance footage, and digital evidence soon led investigators to a single name: Dundrea S. Holloway, Lisa's ex-boyfriend. Authorities issued alerts and began tracking him immediately, warning residents that he was dangerous and possibly unstable. The arrest of Dundrea Holloway. Within 24 hours of the discovery, police located Holloway in Gillespie, Illinois. Reports stated that he showed little emotion during his arrest, and investigators described him as cold and indifferent. He was taken into custody and charged with first-degree murder, intentional homicide of an unborn child, dismembering a human body, concealment of a homicidal death.
That monster, that savage monster, has been charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, 2 counts of intentional homicide of an unborn child, dismembering a human body, I'll say that again, dismembering a human body, offenses relating to motor vehicles, and concealment of a homicidal death.
Because Leesa was nearly 8 months pregnant, her unborn daughter was legally recognized as a second victim. The gruesome details. As the investigation continued, heartbreaking details emerged. Prosecutors stated that Holloway not only killed Lisa, but mutilated her body afterward in an attempt to hide the crime. The brutality went far beyond a moment of impulsive violence. It was deliberate, calculated, and horrifyingly methodical. Investigators found evidence showing the attack was severe and sustained, and that Holloway stayed in the apartment after killing her. The medical examiner's findings, combined with the physical evidence, painted a picture of extreme violence and intent. The prosecutor publicly stated that this was one of the most disturbing domestic violence homicides ever seen in the region.
What was learned, what was found, is absolutely terrible.
Courtroom twists and delays. After his arrest, the case moved through a long legal process. Several times questions were raised about Holloway's mental fitness to stand trial. Court-ordered psychiatric evaluations caused delays, as the judge needed to determine whether Holloway understood the charges against him and could participate in his own defense. Despite the delays, the evidence against him was overwhelming. Physical evidence at the scene, witness accounts, and Holloway's connection to the victim left little room for doubt. In 2024, after nearly 2 years of legal proceedings,
No, he was pretty much silent during any of the court proceedings, except answering the judge, never really making eye contact with us. Myself and my older daughter attended just about every one of the court proceedings.
Holloway entered a guilty plea. He admitted to killing Lisa, killing her unborn child, and dismembering her body afterward. With the guilty plea, the case proceeded to sentencing without the need for a lengthy trial. The sentencing. During the sentencing hearing, Lisa's family gave emotional victim impact statements.
Just that she was really looking forward to being a mom and starting that next phase. She had attended some healthcare classes at our local community college and was looking to go into the healthcare field.
They spoke about her warmth, her excitement to become a mother, and the unbearable pain of losing both their daughter and granddaughter in such a violent way. The judge sentenced Holloway to 60 years in prison, ensuring he will likely live out the rest of his life behind bars. While no punishment can erase what happened, the sentence provided a measure of accountability and justice for Lisa and her unborn daughter. The legacy of the case. Lisa Dodd's murder sparked discussions across Illinois and the nation regarding domestic violence and the dangers faced by women in unstable relationships. Her family has continued to speak out, hoping her story raises awareness and inspires those in dangerous situations to seek help before tragedy unfolds. They remember Lisa as a loving daughter, a kind friend, and a young woman eagerly awaiting motherhood.
When she was 10 years old, she asked for donations to a local animal shelter instead of birthday presents for herself. She one time was driving and there was an injured pedestrian on the side of the road, and she stopped and lended aid to them and sat with them and kept them calm until the ambulance arrived.
They remember baby Milo, a life that never had the chance to begin. Their memories of Lisa are filled with hope and heartbreak, a reminder of a future stolen far too soon. Outro. This is the tragic story of the murder of Lisa Dodd, the investigation that brought the truth to light, and the sentencing of Dundrea Holloway. A story of brutality, loss, and a family forever changed, and a reminder of the silent dangers hidden inside toxic relationships. If you found this story gripping, please like this video, comment your thoughts on how you think justice will unfold, and don't forget to subscribe to Judge Wire for more real-life crime stories like this.
I wish I could remember what happened. I'm just so sorry. I'm heartbroken. I love Dom and Davion. We were all friends, and Dom was my soulmate. I wish I could take all your pain away, and I'm so sorry.
I just want to say that I'm sorry to the people who's wrong that her son had to get shot, because I didn't even know he was going to get shot.
It begins with three very different young women, each at the center of a case that stunned their communities, shook courtrooms, and left families devastated in ways they never imagined. Their stories unfold in the same places where truth is forced into the light, where judges, detectives, grieving parents, and even the accused themselves confront the consequences of actions that can never be undone. These are the cases of Mackenzie Sharilla, Kyandria Cook, and Isabella Guzman. Three women whose crimes shocked the public, not only because of the violence involved, but because each case exposed a different, disturbing truth about anger. The first case begins in Ohio, where a seemingly typical summer night turned into a catastrophic event that would later be revealed as far from accidental. Mackenzie Sharilla, just 17 years old at the time, was behind the wheel of a Toyota Camry in the early hours of July 31st, 2022. In the passenger seat sat her boyfriend, 20-year-old Dominic Russo, and in the back seat was their friend, 19-year-old Davian Flanagan. Surveillance footage captured the car moving normally at first, taking a simple right turn at what appeared to be a safe speed. Nothing in that initial moment suggested anything out of the ordinary. But seconds later, that calm scene was shattered as the vehicle suddenly accelerated to over 100 miles per hour, racing down the dark road before violently smashing into the side of a business building. The impact was catastrophic. Russo and Flanagan died instantly. Their young lives ended in seconds. Miraculously, Sharilla survived, though she suffered serious leg injuries. First responders arrived to find a horrifying scene. A vehicle torn apart, 2 teenagers dead, and a 17-year-old driver trapped inside, but still alive. At first, it was treated as a tragic accident. A teen driver speeding recklessly late at night is not unusual. But as investigators dug deeper, they uncovered disturbing evidence that completely changed the story. Crash reconstruction experts determined that the gas pedal had been pushed to 100% pressure in the seconds before the impact, with no sign of braking, correction, or loss of control. The prosecution argued that this was not a mistake. They claimed Sharilla purposely accelerated, intending to kill everyone in the car, possibly even herself. Adding to this theory was a trauma surgeon's testimony, who said that Sharilla admitted to wanting to die and took responsibility for the crash while being treated, telling medical staff that it was her fault. In court, the prosecution insisted the video evidence was undeniable. They argued that Sharilla deliberately maintained full throttle and steered the car directly into the building. The defense pushed back, suggesting alternative scenarios. Maybe Dominic grabbed the wheel, maybe Mackenzie panicked, maybe something distracted her. They emphasized that no one would ever truly know what happened inside that car. But because it was a bench trial, the decision rested solely with Judge Nancy Margaret Russo, who delivered a damning verdict. Judge Russo stated plainly that the video showed clear intention. She said Sharilla made a conscious decision to push the pedal to the floor, reaching speeds over 100 miles per hour, and steer the car into a building. The judge concluded that Sharilla acted purposely and intentionally, ruling her guilty of murder. During sentencing, the families of Russo and Flanagan expressed their heartbreak, calling the act selfish and senseless. Sharilla, in her final plea, read a letter apologizing to both families, insisting she never meant to cause harm, and wished she could remember what happened. In the end, she was sentenced to 15 years to life in prison, a punishment that reflected the severity of the deaths and the court's belief that the crash was not an accident at all. The case of Kyandria Cook involved a calculated setup that spiraled into violence and left another innocent person badly wounded. Cook, just 18 years old, along with her 17-year-old boyfriend, Kendrick Bass, used a dating app called Meet Me to lure 2 men into a trap in Daytona Beach, Florida. The plan was simple: pretend to meet someone for a date, then ambush them, carjack them, and escape with their belongings. But the situation escalated quickly. During the attempted robbery, Bass shot one of the victims, causing serious injuries. Bass would later be sentenced to 20 years in prison for his role in the crime. Cook, however, faced her own set of charges: carjacking and aggravated battery. At her sentencing, she addressed the victim's family, apologizing through tears. She insisted she never wanted anyone to get hurt, claiming her boyfriend and his friends pressured her into participating, and that she was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. She begged the judge for a second chance, saying she wanted to finish school and make her mother proud. But the judge saw the situation differently. The court stated clearly that the attack was not random or accidental. It was an orchestrated ambush, and Cook played a significant role in setting it up. Believing she was facing no prison time, Cook had accepted a plea deal without realizing its consequences. When the reality hit her in the courtroom, chaos erupted. Cook and her family broke down as the sentence was read: 20 years in state prison. However, because she had been misled about the potential sentence, the ruling was later thrown out. Even with the reduced sentence, the courtroom reaction showed that Cook and her family never expected her involvement in the setup to cost her entire youth.
District 1 is looking for Isabella Guzman. Looks like cut her mother's throat.
In August 2013, the 18-year-old from Aurora, Colorado, brutally murdered her mother, Yoon Mi Hoi, inside their home. Police described the scene as horrifying. Hoy had over 151 stab wounds on her face and neck. When officers arrived, they found Guzman had fled the house. She was arrested later in a nearby parking lot after an overnight search. During interrogation, Guzman denied the murder entirely. She refused to answer to her own name, insisting that her real name was Samantha, and that she had no idea who Isabella even was. She demanded investigators fingerprint her as proof she was someone else. When her father entered the room and broke down upon seeing her, she refused to acknowledge him. Investigators quickly realized that they were dealing with a severe mental health crisis rather than a typical criminal interrogation. In court, Guzman shocked everyone further by smirking, rolling her eyes, and making exaggerated expressions at cameras, appearing completely detached from the gravity of the charges. A psychiatric evaluation later revealed she had a severe case of schizophrenia. Ultimately, the court found her not guilty by reason of insanity, and she was committed to the Colorado Mental Health Institute in Pueblo, where she remains to this day. Her case continues to be widely discussed due to her disturbing behavior, the brutal nature of the crime, and the haunting footage of her smiling and posing in the courtroom. These three cases, different motives, different circumstances, and different outcomes, reveal the unpredictable ways violence enters the justice system. One involved a dangerous crash that investigators say was deliberate. Another involved a teenage girl manipulated into a violent robbery gone wrong. And the third involved untreated mental illness spiraling into a deadly family tragedy. Yet they all crossed paths with the same system, where truth is scrutinized, victims' families seek answers, and consequences are inevitably delivered. Each woman faced the law, faced the families they hurt, and faced the reality of what they had done. Whether through denial, tears, they share one thing. Each case serves as a reminder that decisions made in a moment, out of rage, fear, pressure, or delusion, can carve permanent scars across dozens of lives, shaping futures that can never return to what they once were.
Parents have some concerns of some stuff they may have found in your room?
Yeah, I believe so.
And what would it be?
A human head and hands.
Like, for real human head and hands?
Yes.
Imagine seeing a quiet teenager walking down the street, not knowing he carried a darkness that had been growing inside him for years. This is the story of Brian Thomas Cohee Jr., a 19-year-old whose obsession with violence and serial killers spiraled into one of the most disturbing murders Colorado has ever seen. A crime so brutal, so calculated, that even seasoned investigators struggled to comprehend the level of horror he unleashed on an innocent man.
From?
That fellow who went missing recently.
Which fellow was that?
Warren Brown.
Warren Brown? When did he go missing?
The night of the 27th.
The night of the 27th? Okay. And how did you end up with him?
I murdered him.
With what?
A knife.
Why would you have done that?
I've always wondered what murder felt like.
The victim who hurt no one. The story begins in Grand Junction, Colorado, where locals knew a gentle, unhoused man named Warren the Reading Man Barnes. Warren was 69 years old. He spent most mornings sitting in a chair behind a bridal shop, quietly reading books, waving at passers-by, and minding his own business. He wasn't aggressive. He wasn't confrontational. He was simply a peaceful soul trying to exist in a world that had been harsh to him. People knew him for his kindness and calm presence, and tragically, that gentle nature made him a perfect target for someone searching for a vulnerable victim. A troubled teen with dark fascinations. On the surface, Brian Cohee looked like any awkward 19-year-old. But beneath that exterior lived a disturbing obsession that had been growing for years. As a child and teenager, Cohee struggled with ADHD and autism.
I have high-functioning Asperger's.
Okay.
I have ADHD and major depressive disorder.
Okay.
Major depressive, so you were wondering what made that last one is?
Finding social interactions difficult and often retreating into dark interests.
For years,
I was wondering what murder would feel like, because you read like Ted Bundy and the Zodiac, they all say murder is the best feeling in the world. So I'm like, I'm going to try that. Okay. So for some time I had been wondering when it would happen. I always knew I would be in this building, whether it was as a criminal or a police officer. Okay.
By high school, he had become openly fascinated with serial killers, especially Jeffrey Dahmer. Students even began calling him Dahmer because of the disturbing things he talked about. And it didn't stop with fantasies. Cohee once admitted to killing a cat and keeping its head in his home for days. He later told investigators it made him feel powerful. These were not random outbursts, they were warning signs. Signs that something dangerous was forming inside him. Something no one ever stopped. The night of unimaginable violence. On February 27, 2021, Cohee acted on a plan he'd been thinking about for months. Wearing 3 pairs of gloves, a mask, and blue coveralls, he left his home carrying a 12-inch kitchen knife. He drove to an underpass.
I was driving, and I saw a strange shape near the railway. So I parked my car and investigated it, and I found it to be a man sleeping.
Okay. Where's the knife at?
It is in my sunken car. Well, it's in
where homeless individuals often slept, including Warren Barnes. Warren was asleep under a tarp when Cohee approached.
After cruising around for over an hour, he stumbled upon Warren Barnes, who was sleeping under a tent beneath the bridge near the Messer County Sheriff's Department.
And I see a shape here on the railway track, so I'm like...
What happened next is almost impossible to comprehend. Cohee later confessed that he stabbed Warren repeatedly while making animalistic growling sounds. He said he kept going until Warren stopped moving.
And I was driving along, and I see a shape here on the railway track. So I'm like, oh, interesting. So I grabbed my knife. I put on 3 layers of gloves because plastic gloves can betray their users because they're so thin, those vinyl gloves, by imprinting your fingerprints through. So I put on 3 on one hand. I took the knife, I pulled back the canvas, and I stabbed his neck. He was panicking at first in his old man voice. He was in his 50s. I know why I call him an old man. He was saying, "What are you doing? What are you doing? Why? Ah!" And I just kept on stabbing his neck.
Until there was no life left in him. But the violence didn't end there.
Is it okay if I do a demonstration?
Oh, yeah.
This is him. I was strapped on top of him like this.
Okay.
And he couldn't fight back. It was actually surprisingly easy. I was barely breaking a sweat. I thought, oh, this guy, he's going to be tough. But no, it was actually surprisingly easy.
Cohee then dismembered Warren's body, removing his head and hands and storing them in plastic bags. He left other body parts under the bridge, but took the most identifying remains with him.
How's it related?
Well, when I killed him, I tried disposing of his body by putting it in the river, but I parked too low in the river. And
where's the rest of his body at?
Huh?
Where's the rest of the body at?
What parts?
The body, Brian. Where's his body?
Down the river.
He drove home, with Warren's severed head in the car. The discovery that shook an entire community. 2 days later, on March 1st, 2021, Cohee's mother, Terry, discovered a trash bag hidden in her son's closet.
Terry and Brian Cohee called 911. It was an absolutely shocking moment. They had just found a decomposing head in their son Brian Jr.'s closet in his room.
Inside it were human remains, later confirmed to be Warren's head and hands. Terrified, she immediately called the police. Investigators arrived and, after opening the bags, were confronted with the horrifying truth. Brian was arrested that same day. During his interview, he was shockingly calm. He confessed to everything: the planning, the murder, the dismemberment. When asked why he did it, he gave a chillingly simple answer. "I wanted to know what murder felt like." He even told police he deleted photos of the body because they were evidence. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't a moment of impulse. It was deliberate and deeply disturbing. Insanity or intention? The court battle begins. As the investigation unfolded, the question became, Was Cohey mentally unstable to the point he didn't understand what he was doing? Or did he knowingly plan the murder of a vulnerable man? His defense argued that autism, ADHD, and depression pushed him into a psychotic break, but prosecutors pushed back hard. Their evidence showed Cohey planned the murder for months. He selected a vulnerable victim he believed wouldn't be missed.
Brian Jr. told investigators he chose a homeless victim he assumed no one would miss. He was wrong. No memorial where Warren spent the last terrifying moment of his life. Instead, it's here in the breezeway.
He prepared clothing and gloves to avoid leaving evidence. He cleaned up and tried to destroy incriminating material. Psychologists for the prosecution concluded Cohey knew what he was doing, that he understood right from wrong and acted intentionally. This wasn't a breakdown. This was a calculated killing. Guilty verdict and a life behind bars. The trial began on January 17, 2023. Over days of testimony, jurors heard Cohey's confession, saw the evidence, and listened to psychological evaluations. It took them just 2 days to make their decision. Guilty on all charges, including first-degree murder, tampering with a dead human body, tampering with physical evidence. On February 6, 2023, he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, plus over 13 additional years. Even as the sentence was read, Cohey showed almost no emotion. A community remembers the reading man. After the case, the people of Grand Junction mourned Warren deeply. He wasn't wealthy. He didn't have much family, but he had a presence that mattered. In his honor, the community built a bronze memorial reading chair, decorated with books and birds.
2 weeks of heart-wrenching testimony, including the defendant's mother reliving the horrific moments nearly 2 years ago when she found a rotting human head in her son's closet. Evidence so disturbing it brought jurors to tears.
A tribute to the man who sat peacefully behind a bridal shop with a novel in hand. Warren's life had meaning, and his memory continues to live through those who saw him, loved him, and now refuse to let him fade.
Newly laid flowers now blow in the wind, along with books and litter at the site where Warren Barnes was brutally murdered.
Conclusion. In a quiet Colorado town, a gentleman was targeted simply because he was vulnerable.
Judge Gurley sentenced Cohey to the rest of his natural life in prison, plus 13.5 years without parole. Justice served, and while Warren is gone, he will never be forgotten.
And a troubled young man acted on a fantasy he admitted he'd been waiting to explore. The murder of Warren Barnes forces us to ask difficult questions. How many warning signs go unnoticed? How many vulnerable people walk through life unprotected? And how does fascination turn into obsession? And then into violence? As Cohey spends the rest of his life behind bars, the legacy of Warren the Reading Man Barnes continues. A reminder that every life, no matter how quiet, carries value. If this story gripped you, like the video, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to Judge Wire for more real-life true crime stories that uncover the truth behind the headlines.